Hello and welcome. Today we are diving deep into the Chinese language. But forget about boring flashcards and endless memorization. We're going to look at just 3 simple pronouns. And I promise you, by the end of this, you won't have just learned 3 words. You'll have unlocked a whole new way of seeing the entire language. So here's the big question. How is it even possible that 3 little pronouns, you, I, and he, can be the key to unlocking over 20 different Chinese characters? Well, it's because they aren't just random words. They are pieces of an absolutely brilliant logical puzzle. And we are going to solve it together. And here they are. These are our puzzle pieces. Now, on the surface, they might look pretty complex, maybe even a little intimidating. But these 3 characters, ni for you, wa for I, and ta for he, are the foundation for everything we're about to uncover. All right, let's get into it. Starting with our very first key, we're going to deconstruct the character for you, which is ni. And this one is a fantastic place to start because its logic is just so clean and elegant. But hang on, before we can actually break it apart, we need to talk about the single most important concept for everything we're doing today, the radical. Seriously, this is the secret. Think of radicals as the Lego bricks of the Chinese language. They're smaller, simpler characters that each have their own meaning, and when you snap them together, they build new, more complex words. So let's apply that idea to ni. You can see it splits pretty neatly into 2 parts. On the left, you've got the radical ren, which means person, and that makes total sense, right? You are a person. Then on the right, you have this other part, Now, this part isn't really about meaning. It's what we call the phonetic component. It's what gives the character its sound. Ni. So you've got a piece for the meaning and a piece for the sound. Put them together, and there's your character. Now, check this out. Once you get that building block system, the language just starts to unfold in front of you. Let's look at the polite or respectful version of you. On the left, that's our standard ni we just learned. And on the right, we have nin, which you'd use when talking to your elders or, someone you want to show a lot of respect to. They look almost identical, don't they? And this is where the logic just gets beautiful. To make the word you respectful, you simply add one more radical right underneath, xin, the radicals for heart. The idea here is that when you speak to someone with true respect, you are speaking from the heart. It's not just a word, it's like a tiny piece of poetry baked right into the language. How cool is that? Okay, let's move on to our next character, which is the centerpiece of our whole investigation today. The character for I, or me, 我, This one has a really fascinating story hidden inside. So if we take wa apart, we find 2 very distinct pieces. The part on the left is a form of shou, which is the radical for hand. And the part on the right is go, the radical for an ancient long weapon, like a spear or a halberd. So the character for I is literally a hand plus a weapon, which, of course, leads to the obvious question, what in the world does a hand holding a weapon have to do with the idea of me? What's the story here about who I am? Well, it turns out there are a couple of really interesting theories. One theory is that the character is basically a picture of a soldier holding his weapon, a really powerful symbol of an individual, right? An I standing at the ready. But another theory is a bit more philosophical, that the very core of the self, of I, is the ability to provide for yourself, represented by the hand, and to protect yourself, represented by the weapon. Either way, these stories turn a character that looks random into something you can actually remember. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, that's cool, but is it really all this systematic? Well, let's take a super quick detour, and I'll show you just how powerful this building block method really is. Okay, watch this. We start with the simple character for tree, mo. Now, just add one single line at the bottom, and boom, you get hong, which means root or origin, the root of the tree. Let's go back to tree. Add a little flick at the top, and now you have hua, the character for a rice plant. Go back to tree one last time, add a single dot, and you get shu, which means skill. One character, 3 tiny changes, 3 totally new words. That's the power of the system. All right, detour over. Let's get back to our pronouns and look at the final set, the words for he, she, and it. And this is where the pattern becomes so obvious, so satisfying. It really feels like we're cracking a code right in front of our eyes. So here's the secret. The words for he, she, and it are all pronounced exactly the same way, pa, and they all share the exact same component on the right side, the character ye. This is our phonetic component again. It's giving the sound to all 3 words. So if the sound is always the same, how do you change the meaning? Simple. You just swap out the radical on the left. You take that sound component, ye, add the person radical, ren, and you get ta, he. Now, swap out the person radical for the woman radical, nu, and you get ta, she. Use a different radical for an animal or an object, and you get ta, it. I mean, it is an incredibly efficient and logical system. So the formula couldn't be simpler. One piece for the sound, one piece for the meaning. Same sound, different radical, new word. It is literally that straightforward. And once you see this pattern, you start seeing it everywhere. So let's zoom out for a second and just think about what we've really learned here. It's not just a few pronouns, is it? It's a method. It's a whole new way of looking at the language. It's the building block method. Think back to that first question we asked. In just the last few minutes, by exploring just 3 core pronouns, we have learned and played with over 20 distinct characters and radicals. Person, heart, hand, weapon, tree, woman. The list goes on. That is the amazing exponential power of learning this system instead of just memorizing words. So what did you actually unlock today? Well, first, the huge realization that Chinese characters are not just random pictures, they are logical puzzles waiting to be solved. Second, you learned that radicals are basically the keys to decoding both meaning and sound. And maybe most importantly, you've already got a huge head start on learning hundreds of other characters because they use these exact same building blocks. Ultimately, what this all shows us is that every single character isn't just an item you have to memorize. It's a tiny capsule of history, of logic, and of poetry. It's a story, just waiting to be told. So the real question is, which story are you going to decode next?